see. Boom. Hello, everybody. Erwin Tang will be joining us a bit later to present a new script idea, which he seems to be calling Prison Bitch, and I am looking forward to hearing about that one. But first, we have to congratulate our hometown hero here, John Lamont, for Spirit of the Dragon 2, which I'll go ahead and put up on the screen. There we are. Not even 2 days into this thing, and already $7,000. That's not bad.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here on again, these estimates come down, obviously, but because the first day or two, you're always like getting flooded. But Backer Tracker is predicting 19, which my prior experience with Backer Tracker would suggest that this number is going to come down a bit, but still probably end up around 16, 17, somewhere in there. So congratulations. And
Thanks.
as you were mentioning beforehand, if it ends up at 16, and Sushi, I see did a cover for you.
Yes.
Now, is this her first comic cover?
No.
Okay.
I am like 7th or 8th.
Okay.
I am not popping her comic cover cherry.
Okay. All right. So that was a contact you made at MegaCon when you came down.
Yeah.
Because she had the booth right across from me, and she certainly makes the kind of artwork that you would want to put on a cover.
Yep.
I didn't hear what you said, Danny.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sometimes I say things.
Okay.
I know it's weird,
All right.
but it's true.
But yeah, there you go. $7,000, effectively in first like 36 hours. We got Keith Garvey, Naughty and Nice. Any other Naughty covers or just that one?
Just that one.
Okay. All right. I'm surprised you didn't get Sushi to do a Naughty version, because looking at her artwork, it seems very much in her wheelhouse. But yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I am surprised at. I will say my big surprise is how well Felipe's cover is doing.
Okay.
Because I did not expect that one to perform as well.
I have been super busy. I was working on a movie all weekend, so
good for you.
I'm curious as to what Felipe's cover even looks like.
Yeah, hold on. Now that you said, I took it down. I got to pull the page back up. Hold on.
Oh, good. You're gonna do it on the stream. So cool. Yeah, problem solved.
Yeah, I haven't been pushing that one very hard, so I've been pushing my Garvey Whiskey Paint and my Sushi cover, because they're my big 3.
Yeah.
Sushi is actually the most expensive cover in the bunch.
Really?
So
okay.
Yeah, she was. So I'm kind of hoping that I'm hoping that one performs well. It's performing.
Okay.
It's performing okay, I should say. My Whiskey Paint cover is performing really, really well. I think
that guy is a gold mine. I'm telling you.
As well, when it comes to schoolgirls, yes, Whiskey Paint's got it going on.
I mean, look, I shall look.
The Whiskey Paint cover is really good.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead. So first off, Keith Garvey. Yes. He's
it's Garvey.
There's the Whiskey Paint cover. I mean, looks solid.
I like it.
Yeah. Here's the Sushi cover. All right. So this one here. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Art Deco thing.
Yeah.
It's so good. When did Felipe get that good? He does my interiors for stuff. So like normally I'm like, giving heavy notes on storytelling and things like that. I actually haven't had him do it. I've been working with him for like 4 years and he's never done it. He's like colored covers for me, but he's never drawn one.
Well, this is what you get from Felipe when you let him do his own thing.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna do more of that.
There you go.
I mean, because I gave him very little direction. I just said, do something with both of them together.
Who is both of them, by the way?
That's supposed to be Julia and Megan.
Oh, okay, Megan. Right. The lesbian crush.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. There we go. All right.
So
Okay.
yeah, I was actually surprised how well that one turned out, and
Yeah.
especially for the price too. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm very happy with all around with my the performance of my covers.
Whoa. Holy smokes. We have another Canadian. Larry, it has
Oh,
been
Larry's back.
quite a while. Welcome back, sir.
Yes. Yes.
How have
This
you
is
been?
too much Canada. I can't handle this.
How have I been? Not overly bad, I guess, in the long run.
I've been seeing some scary headlines coming out of your country, but I hope everything's okay up there.
Yeah.
Wait,
Most
what's wrong
part.
up here?
I'm seeing these headlines
Lots of
about
things.
like the Canadian healthcare system like endorsing euthanasia or something. Like, what's going on? Anyway.
Yeah, a bunch of conservatives who decided to starve the beast are now trying to privatize things, which might as well be euthanasia. Privatized healthcare is just the worst.
I don't know. I mean, looking
They're
at the
trying to
nationalized
privatize
systems
things.
like England or Canada, and for that matter, looking at the American healthcare system, seem to be doing pretty well. And then at every step where they were like, well, maybe we could add more social government doohickeys and bells and whistles, like like Medicare in the 1960s and stuff. That's when before that, doctors were making house calls and healthcare was pretty easily affordable. But like after the big government changes, it progressively got worse. And then Obamacare was like, I was insured up until Obamacare came out, and then insurance just became like health flavored monthly payments.
I have heard the insurance companies are a big part of the problem.
I mean, all I can say is it was working great until government fixed it. So
it turns out if the government fixes it harder, it does actually fix it better in this case.
Okay.
Which is super weird.
All right. So anyway, but yes, Larry, welcome back.
Yeah.
We missed you. Here you are. And Molby was here a couple of weeks ago. It's like, wow,
We're trying to get the OG group back.
Well, always, exactly.
That's why we got a new day and a new time.
Yeah, I moved to Tuesdays at an hour earlier because so you could make it here. Now, you mentioned that you're going to be coming up on Primal Chaos 2. Right?
Yeah.
2. Okay. Yeah. and like I'm not sure because I ran the last campaign out of my own account and just like gave you an accounting for how it all went. But like, am I doing? And I mean, I'm willing to do that for you again.
Yeah.
Or you could do it, and that's also fine. Which way are you leaning? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
right.
I don't really know.
All right, very good. All right, I don't want to put you on the spot. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at Palace of the Golden Princess, issue 3. So, for those of you who don't remember, at the end of issue 2, they get back from the Forsaken Wood, and everybody's attending this big celebration because they've done the magic to reinstall the protective the protective Viviax enchantment that allows the Governess Army to get big and stuff. And they were attending a feast, at which point
magic to smash the patriarchy.
Yes, magic. So the patriarchy smashing magic. At which point Arica reveals that she's really not that keen on honoring the bargain she entered with the summoner, and then Thora does a surprise transformation into Demon Beast, and hilarity ensues, and that's where we're picking up here.
Is that like the fantasy equivalent of when it gets boring, just blow something up?
I mean, I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to answer that question. I suppose.
I mean, I'm writing a fantasy story. Now I'm suspecting maybe I should start doing that sort of thing more often.
Well, I mean, you as editor were giving the notes that a lot of people were talking, but look, having watched all the episodes of Game of Thrones, and I wasn't a Game of Thrones fan. I just started watching it because I'm like, well, I'm writing fantasy, and that's a popular thing, so let me watch it. But just in general, like Tolkien and all this, and now the new the Rings of Power. There's a lot of people standing there talking, like, oh yes, the thing and the thus and so, and did you know that? And like, the whole it's that people go on talking. Fantasy is a lot of people talking and people venturing somewhere else to find someone to talk to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then talking on the journey, like, hey, Sambar, there's a lot of talking. Well, anyway,
This
I
is a
actually
thing that
really
works
enjoyed
incredibly
Game of
well
Thrones.
in novels, and sometimes less well in more visual art ones.
right.
Well, a film is not supposed to be more than 1/3 dialogue,
Mhm.
but dialogue is cheap. So with everything being so special effects driven, it's a lot cheaper to just throw a couple cameras and have people stand around talking for half an hour of your 60-minute runtime.
All right, so let's see how much talking I can get away with here in Palace number 1.
Or you can just do, boobs. It worked really well for Game of Thrones. I mean,
it seems to be working great for you too, John.
yeah, I know, right?
and for that matter,
Real
like,
boobs at the picture.
yeah. For that, by the way, Pumpkin Patch number 1, a script first debuted here on the channel. That campaign just completed, ended up 5,600 on Kickstarter. Not a bad debut, and
Not a bad debut at all.
No,
to be
and
honest.
he was giving his notes, like, in reflection, now that he's done it, like, now that he's a little more seasoned, a little experienced, he got the first one under his belt, and everybody the first time always gives the same note, which is just to give it a direct quote of Skinny. I knew putting boobs on the cover would help. I didn't know it was going to help that much.
Well,
Anyway.
I mean, I don't even know what Pumpkin Patch is about, honestly. But
Pumpkins in
Yeah,
a pumpkin
guess.
patch.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And they go
exactly
off-
what it says on the tin.
They go off to war or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What?
I'm not exactly sure what it's about either.
Yeah.
He's got cute
You
art.
read it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we did. It was on the stream.
On the stream.
Well, yeah, but
was
Like a year ago.
well, okay, but
like
those
3 months
look,
ago.
Those were pumpkins talking. There was a bunch of talking.
No, it was a bunch of VO talking about the pumpkins.
The whole thing was talking about the pumpkins. There wasn't like
It
an
was
action.
just VO.
Right. There wasn't like a villain. There wasn't a conflict. There was
Oh,
pumpkins
my.
been talking. And hooray! Look. All right. So who wants to be Thora, our main character? All right, I'll be Thora. John, you can be the narrator.
Okay.
Yay.
Larry,
Mhm.
you can be Arca, and
Sure.
Danny. I'm sure you would love to be Edmund. There we go.
Sure.
All right.
Page 1. Panel 1. Queen Araka and Edmund cover in demon form.
Damn, it should be Cower. All right. I already screwed it up. I already messed this up. All right, Cower. Should be Cower.
Queen Araka and Edmund cover in demon form Thora's mighty hands as she leers down at them.
Long have I suffered your capricious whims, you deceitful viper.
Very
good, Larry.
I
Yeah,
beg
thank you.
forgiveness.
Panel 2. Background. Samantha's hands glows red as she summons magical energy. Foreground. Her eyes struck blind by Samantha's magic. Demon form Thora's temporary bewilderment spreads to her 2 held captives.
Danny, you can be Samantha.
Maledicto TV, I curse you with blindness.
Panel 3. Oh, okay. So this is basically D&D game where it basically a monster appears and now everybody has to fight. Panel 3.
Well,
Demon form.
Well, okay, clarify.
That's
What used to be our protagonist is now a monster
Yes.
who everyone has to fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it's very it really feels like a D&D thing. Panel 3, Demon Form Thora drops a surprised Edmund and clutches Araka's waist and throat with her giant clawed hands.
Bless you.
I guess somebody sneezed? Achoo!
Yeah. Bah! I don't need eyes to gut this bitch.
I'm sorry. I apologize, of course. I will cede the summoner his swamp.
Panel 4, continued.
I'm going to be right back. Sorry,
Okay. All right,
guys.
sure.
2 women clad in governess armor burst through the door and enter the scene.
Wait a minute for Danny to return. I don't want him to miss this wonderful script. Give me a minute to make. That should be Cower, and Eric is not a character. It's Edmund. There we go.
Hmm.
Edmund. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
2 women clad in governess armor burst through the door and enter the scene. Both have their swords raised and their amulets glow red. Each appear roughly 260 centimeters tall. Governess Akasha, a thick woman with brown hair and fair complexion. Governess Tabitha, a fiery redhead with long legs and freckles.
Behold the queen in danger.
Governess Ho!
All right, extra points for the Thundercats reference.
Page 2, panel 1. Akasha and Tabitha stand on opposite sides of demonic Thora, looking for an opening to thrust their swords. Thora clutches Arika to her chest with her right hand as she holds a claw to her throat with the left. Nestor, Edmund, and Clucky the Jester, shown but not named at the end of issue 2.
Cucky the Jester, yeah. You added an L. Okay.
Cucky the Jester.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
All right then. All right.
That's a good name
I
for a
think you're-
jester.
It is.
That's a good name for a jester.
Sure, why not?
Release the queen.
I'll drag my claws from her throat to her sex and use her guts to strangle her lover.
That's a sentence.
Panel 2, Thora's blinded. Sorry, I was still recovering from that line. Thora's blinded, demonic face considers Arika's words as she attempts to take control.
Enough of this. I accept that I acted hastily in disregarding the summoner's request. Furthermore, I see the need of having an independent voice to keep my whims in check. What if I promote you to the Queen's instrument, effective immediately?
And what
sorry.
guarantees do I have?
Panel 3, Edmund stands tall as he asserts his authority over these catty bitches.
Is Edmund suddenly named Eric?
Yeah, I sometimes do that. I forget his name. It's been a while since I did.
Start with. Okay, this is a
It
tip to
happens.
all the writers listening. This is why you give your main characters names that start with different letters.
Yeah.
Because this isn't confusing. Because
Well-
there's just the one major character whose name starts with an E.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's calm down, ladies. I'm sure we can come to some sort of rational resolution to this.
Panel 4, Governess Akasha and Tabitha seek to intimidate Thora with their swords as Thora continues to use Arika like a shield. Gretchen looks on in dismay, uncertain how to act.
We shall destroy you if you do not put her down this instant.
Panel 5, Samantha seeks a calm resolution.
If it would make you feel better, Thora, we could enter into an infernal pact. Woe be to any who would break such a covenant.
Page 3, Panel 1, Thora's demonic visage relaxes, but she retains her hold on scheming Queen Arika's throat.
Indicate your willingness to bargain, and I will restore your sight.
Do it, Thora. Let us show the world of men that we stand united by our sex.
Very well, High Priestess. Do your magic.
You know, every time I've been in a business and I go into an office where, like, I'm hired as an assistant manager or something, and the managers and the secretaries are all women, they're all like, "Oh, we're so glad to have a guy in our office
Every
because
time.
all of
yes.
these women in leadership roles working together."
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, interesting. Panel 2, Samantha conjures her magic as she reverses her curse.
Ego visionem tuum restituto.
Panel 3, motion lines show Thora's return to her pre-demonic state. Her corset, stretched from her transformation, hangs loosely off her body, along with the tatters of her yellow shirt.
Yes, it does.
It sure does.
She maintains her hold on Queen Arika, whom shields her any frontal nakedness from the reader.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean,
It's not a John Lamont script, I know.
It's not a John Lamont
Akasha
script.
I was
and
actually
Tabitha.
supposed to give Preston a wordiness note.
Yeah.
You mean like, she is still holding Queen Araka hostage
Yeah.
in front of her.
Yeah, we could do that.
He's also making sure that the artist knows that it's supposed to be PG-13.
I am aware of that.
Here,
Because
we'll do that right now. She holds Queen Araka, and
I'm going to keep reading because it's a long
yes, please keep reading.
Okay.
Akasha and Tabitha now tower over all the others in the room. Gretchen leans toward the center of the action, but dare not step forward out of fear of reprisal. Nestor, Edmund, and Cucky stand at as distance as the situation resolves.
stand. Yeah, there we go. Stand. We'll just say distant. There we go. I like that better. Okay.
I mean, I'm making sure we have this moment so that way all the other new writers who come in will feel less bad because everyone makes these mistakes.
Yeah. I welcome a return to honor.
Release the queen this instant, misogynist. That's a good line, actually.
Panel 4. Tabitha and Akasha continue to brandish their swords as they remove the queen from danger. Gretchen moves to Thora's side.
Are you hurt, my queen? What is your command?
Panel 5. Samantha expresses concern as she looks over Araka for wounds. Tabitha brandishes her sword with her back to them, and her eyes focused on Gretchen and Thora.
I seem to have emerged unscathed.
Don't just stand there. Take Thora before she acts out again.
Page 4.
Oh, man,
Panel.
you could have gotten even more feministy and be before she gets hysterical again.
I could have. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Yeah.
I feel like using the word hysteria in this book is actually a good idea.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Page 4, Panel 1. Thora's face shows determination as the shredded garments hang off her body, do little to shield her. Akasha aggressively holds her arms behind her back. At a safe distance, Gretchen looks on in dismay. Edmund, Nestor, and Cucky follow the action with growing interest.
As you command, High Priestess.
This is unnecessary.
There we go. I'm not so certain. Thora's mind seems not her own anymore. She seems of little good to us as a soldier. However, I can think of other uses for her. Wait, that's your splash page?
I mean, she's. I
feel like I would. Throws back and is naked. Is not part of
Is that not a good splash?
I feel like
it's a good splash.
We could have bigger, more artful panels. I think if we distributed the action between 3 and 4 a little bit more evenly. And page 3, that one panel in the middle there with the hostage thing. There's a lot of art there.
Yeah. All
right. A couple small panels of dialogue into something big could still work.
Okay. I mean, I just feel like a lot of people would want to see that, so I made it big.
Yeah, no, that's fair. They also want to see the lead up to it.
Sure.
So you got to give them the teaser before you give them the full Monty.
Sure. All right. Page 5.
Page 5, Panel 1. Gretchen pleads with Araka, Samantha, and Edmund. Tabitha towers over all of them in the background, sword at the ready, waiting to kill.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I knew the summoner was up to something when he dragged her into his teepee. Still, did we not reach a bargain?
Well, if our high priestess cannot cast out this competing influence, then I am up to the challenge of raping and torturing her on the rack until the competing evil has left her. Wow.
Well, that definitely works for moving demons. Panel 2. Queen Araka.
He's not sure if it's gonna try, but
a villain as much.
We could rein him in.
Panel 2. Queen. I mean, I'll save that for later. Panel 2. Queen Araka smiles at her own magnanimous proclamation, to which Samantha and Edmund defer.
Well, there is the matter of the silver hydras.
Quite right, my queen. We allow an adventuring party to ravage us without retribution. Do we not invite more of the same?
I believe we do, Samantha. I could certainly see overlooking certain rash acts of disobedience for the women who brought me their heads. In fact, I would consider that the first act of my new instrument.
Panel 3. Akasha seems disappointed she does not get to kill the defiant Thora as she continues to tower over her and hold her arms behind her back.
Are those terms acceptable?
Yes, my queen.
Panel 4. Samantha and Erica smile to each other as they agree upon a plan of action.
Should prove quite a dangerous mission. Adventuring parties make for deadly adversaries, and the Silver Hydras have never been beaten.
Very well, Governess Thora. All shall be forgiven once you bring me the head of each of the 4 of them. Seems only fitting since you were the one who had a face-to-face encounter with them, but with them but a few days ago. I can't think of anyone else in Eluvia who could recognize them on sight. None that are warriors anyway.
Are we sure there's only 4 of them? I thought there were more.
Yeah, no. If we going back to issue 1, there's only 4.
No, weird. Okay.
Page 6, Panel 1. Background. Having released Thora, Akasha stands at her full 260 centimeter height, her amulet continuing its constant glow. Foreground. The weight of her assignment weighs heavily upon the both of them as Gretchen stands behind Thora, putting her corset back into proper position.
She's going to need all the help she can muster, so I don't see how we can deny her services of her loyal squire.
I am prepared to die trying to serve cold justice on those psychotic traveling opportunists.
Me too.
Panel 2. In the foreground, Nestor steps forward. In the background, Cucky seems unable to contain his surprise.
Can you accept the help? Yeah, well, go ahead.
Sure. Can you accept the help of a man on this quest?
Panel 3. Samantha's incredulous face calls into question Nestor's sanity, but Erica finds this quite entertaining.
How noble of you, Sir Nestor. Will you be going along as well, Sir Edmund? I am sure they will need all the help they can get.
Page 7. Panel 1. Foreground. Eric steps to Erica's side and looks down at all she has to offer as he places his right hand on her ample ass. Samantha finds this disgusting, but Erica adores the attention. Background. Nestor and the jester don't seem the least bit surprised. Thor and Gretchen roll their eyes.
Edmund.
I think I've got plenty to keep me occupied right here.
Very well. It shall be those 3 who undertake the errand. Cucky, sing us as we resume our feast of celebration, which shall now have a new meaning.
There we go.
Panel 2.
Yeah.
Background. Cucky bends down to pick up his juggling balls, which were thrown about in the chaos. Foreground. I know. I'm like Cucky and juggling balls. I'm like, oh my.
Did you not see the next line of dialogue, guys?
Yeah.
I haven't. I'm reading, dude. I haven't gotten there yet. Foreground. Erica stands behind her chair at the head of the table and points to the chair to the right.
Go ahead, Larry.
Give me a moment to gather my balls.
As promised, Governors Thora, please take your seat at my side. You shall act as the Queen's instrument on this mission.
Panel 3. Background. Cucky juggles as he sings his ballad.
There we go.
Foreground. The characters sit at the table feasting, their faces showing a myriad of emotions. Erica and Eric, confident. Samantha, scheming. Thora and Gretchen, barely tolerating. And Nestor, guarded.
I'm not singing this.
Okay, you don't want to sing it? Okay. Larry, go ahead.
Question, you wrote it, you sing it.
Okay.
Oh, God, no.
I feel like this is only fair.
Okay. There we go. All right. Here's to the Queen's 3 brave tools, off to undertake her errand of fools. Death awaits them at the Hydra's hand. I would immortalize them were their tail less bland. Brave Edmund provides a rear guard. He has much to explore. May all his trust prove worthy, lest the queen seeks more. Alas, poor Gretchen, her heart most pure. This court's treachery she seems unable to endure. In other places, a good wife she might have been, but alas, Queen Erica would regard that as sin. And then we cut this.
There you go.
Page 8, panel 1. I didn't know you were writing a comedy. In the light of morning, Gretchen and Bobby, Nestor's
story, clearly.
I mean, the situation is kind of funny.
You gotta have some comedy every now and then.
Recently?
Yeah.
Is it because you watched that Critical Role show recently? Like,
No, I haven't been watching that.
It's just full of dick jokes.
All right, yeah.
Panel 1. In the light of morning, Gretchen and Bobby, Nestor's teenage squire, last seen in issue 1, page 4, help Thora and Nestor into plate armor while their 4 horses stand in stalls watching from the background.
I'm surprised you just decided to join us, Nestor.
I'm surprised you elected to have me.
As I am Queen's instrument.
You will be leading us to in other impossible task of certain death. Yes, of course. Wouldn't dream of having it any other way.
Panel 2. Each on their respective horses, the 4 ride along a road out of Port Victoria. Iskandar, last seen in issue 1, page 10, stands behind a crowd of noble women that include the faces from the backgrounds of issue 1, pages 1 and 10, who wave in support of the embarking mission.
Do we even know where we're going?
I think it best to go back to the summoner. He should be pleased the Queen Arica accepted this deal, and he might be able to use his magic to tell us where the silver hydras are.
Panel 3. The 4 ride past the gates of the city.
A prudent decision, but when we deliver ourselves into their hands, do we have any plan beyond dying nobly in combat?
As I said, Nestor, I'm surprised you elected to come along.
I'm surprised you've chosen to lay down your life for those who don't value it so readily.
Panel 4. A bit suspicious, Thora turns to Nestor as they ride along the fields outside the port.
Better to live a noble death than to live as a vassal of such a capricious monarch.
And wouldn't replacing such a monarch be nobler still?
What are you suggesting?
What I just suggested.
Page 9, panel 1. Gretchen voices in discomfort with this conversation's new direction, but Nestor remains unbowed.
Larry, take over Gretchen.
Sure. Even considering an act of treason is punishable by death.
I shall end up just as dead once we encounter the Silver Hydras. And what have they done to any of us? Arica, on the other hand,
is still the queen we have sworn to serve.
Panel 2. All parties awkwardly discuss death and treason as they ride along the road to the Forsaken Wood.
honor becomes a vice.
Vice,
I guess.
Vice, yeah.
Yeah. When dealing with the honorless, Arica remains capricious, vindictive, and only keeps her word when convenient. Thora would make a much better queen.
I have no such ambitions. My only consolation to this dreary existence lies in ending it as soon and as honorably as possible.
As you wish.
Panel 3. Carrion birds circle overhead as their trail nears the Forsaken Wood.
Certainly seems to be plenty of death to go around.
At times like these, I appreciate having another knight at my side, Sir Nestor. Thank you for remaining at my side.
Panel 4. The canopy of trees blots out the sun as the trio continue to ride through the woods. Snap.
Larry.
Did you hear something?
Page 10, panel 1. Thora holds up her hand in a silent order to her companions to stop as she pulls back on the reins of her horse. Crunch. Panel 2. Thora's POV, standing so tall as to have its head in the tree line above a distant Tyrannosaurus Rex, sniffs the air. Panel 3, Thora dismounts as the others remain on horseback, unsure what to do.
A tyrant lizard. We need to hide.
Panel 4, the trio leads their horses behind the trunk of the large nearby tree that sits just off the trail.
Oh, here's the honorable death you were looking for.
All right, and that's 10 pages. So. All right, John, what do you think?
Good things.
Yes.
So
we start with good.
Yes, we start with the good things. Well, it was well formatted. No, just kidding.
Okay.
Many of the words were spelt correctly.
Yes.
And there was no passives.
The majority. Yeah, no passives. I've got to bring up on that. There we go.
No. So, okay. So.
Oh, I gave you some boobs. Oh, that wasn't good enough.
Gave us PG-13 boobs, like.
This isn't a John Lamont script.
But anyway,
it's up to John Lamont levels. I understand. All right.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right, fair enough.
So I did think that I did like the Cucky the Jester.
Cucky the Jester.
I did think that was kind of funny, even.
Yeah.
And
apparently that's it.
All right. Fair enough. All right, Danny, what do you think?
I think you did an admirable job of writing yourself out of a difficult situation.
Okay.
I like having Nestor be an adventuring companion to contrast with Edmund / Eric moving forward. And there were some parts that were funny.
All right.
Remind me what the difficult situation was, because I'm having a hard time remembering issue 2.
Thora just turned into a horrible monster. We had no idea she was actually the hero of our story at the end of episode 2.
Yeah.
That was a splash page. It was like, raw, Thora's a monster now. Now fucking what?
Exactly.
That's a pretty difficult situation. He got himself out of it, I think, admirably.
Okay. Sure.
All right. Larry.
Yeah. Let me think. I was a little lost, but
okay.
I missed a lot of the end of issue 2 when you guys were discussing it. So yeah. So I guess it really I was just trying to keep up with what was being said and try to distinguish the characters, whatnot. So I don't know.
All
it's
right.
a good setup for a quest, but so yeah.
All right, John. What was it you wanted to say?
Yeah.
So the characters seem a little out of character. Like
which ones?
Arica.
Okay.
She didn't seem to be the same person she was from issues 1 and 2.
Okay.
Like in issues 1 and 2, and it's been so long. So
all right. Well, let's go over Arica's actions here. So she's held captive by
the way that she's acting.
Yeah.
Is like not what I would have expected from her. Like I would have expected more forcefulness, and she seemed, I know she's being grabbed by a giant monster,
right?
But she seemed very complacent and not like, I don't know. I just would have thought her reaction to, like 30 seconds ago, I was the queen, and now I'm going to be lunch.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just that seemed a little off to me. I like her dialogue.
You want her to be haughtier? What do you want her to be angry? What do you want? You got to give me something.
I think he's hoping, or he was expecting, perhaps, that Arica be more vengeful.
Okay.
Because she is a huge bitch and not good at negotiating.
She is, yes.
In this story generally, and that seemed a rather radical change of character.
Sure.
Yes.
Was that?
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Like it was, there was no put me down this instant or like anything along those lines. It was just like she just went from being haughty queen of the world to damsel in distress, and I don't know. I just kind of felt like that. that transition just didn't feel. It just felt a little off to me. The second thing that
Were you okay with her sending on Thora on like the death mission?
Yeah, that seemed fine.
You were okay there. Okay, all right. So, but it's earlier when she's being captive. You don't like?
Yes, yeah,
okay.
something. Yeah, that just didn't seem. It just seemed off to me.
All right.
I don't understand her being a monster thing, and like, is this now a new power that Thora can do, or was she being controlled, like puppet string by the summoner? And then, and if she's being controlled by the summoner, how does the summoner not know what's going on? If she just now has this magical ability, like, is she now like Fantasy Hulk? I mean, like, she can turn it on and off as she wants. Like, I want more explanation of that. Like, is she being controlled? Is she being puppet mastered or not? Because if she's being puppet mastered, then why do they have to go and talk to the summoner? He should already know that, because he should be able to see through her eyes and hear what she hears. So I feel like, because at first I thought she was being puppet mastered, but then they're talking about the summoner like it's a third person. Like, oh, well, I will give the summoner what I promised. Like, no, he's standing right there puppet mastering her. You're talking to the summoner. Or are you not talking to the summoner? Then what is Thora?
The summoner worships Ereshkigal, whom he puts Thora in touch with. And in issue 2, we do see Ereshkigal haunting Thora's dreams. And at the end of issue 2, she's actually invoking Ereshkigal. So I would say that it would be perhaps, they might have, they're worshiping the same demonic lady at this point.
So
some of that stuff wasn't super clear in issue 2, but also, it's not clear whether it's the summoner affecting Thora at the end of issue 2, or if this is a thing that Thora is doing.
Okay.
Right. And if it's the deity
explicitly tied to Ereshkigal yet.
Yeah. And if it is the deity that, let's say, they all worship this evil deity, then Thora should be talking like the deity that says, you broke a vow that you had against, you swore to God.
If you don't want to wait that long, you could give Leo a small dose.
Huh?
I'm sorry. Am I mic'd up?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. You can mute yourself if you want to chat off.
Okay. Sorry, I don't need to mute myself now. I'm done. Sorry.
All right, go ahead, John.
So if it's
you
summoner,
you want her to talk with the voice of Ereshkigal, essentially.
If that is who powering her, then yes, her voice. Okay. How she talks should be different so that the reader knows this is not Thora. This is Ereshkigal. And then Ereshkigal can be speaking like, you swore an oath to me or to the deity, and now you're going against that. And here I am to basically enact my terrible revenge on you, going against your oath against your deity. I think that will also give Araka more to respond to as well, because then she could be like, oh, holy crap, you're my sacred deity or whatever, and that was never my intention. Whatever. You can play that, I think, a little bit. And I think that makes more sense. And then was the only other comment that I had was, and it's fine if you're retconning this, or I just don't remember, but the party of 4, were they known by that Silver Hydra name in issue 1?
Yes, they were.
Okay, because I did not remember that name from issue 1, but
they get mentioned a bunch.
I mean, they get mentioned once in issue 1 and once in issue 2.
Which is actually a bunch for what
which is a bunch, I guess.
Well, okay, you foreshadowed it, and that was all that mattered. I was just like, I thought that maybe you just came up with this cool name for them, and it was just the first that I recall hearing of it, but that kind of jumped out at me. But the main things was just the summoner thing and Araka, and I think that'll be fixed if you figure out the voice of the monster.
Okay.
It also it will also help with the other thing. Oh, that was the other thing about Araka. Araka seemed too sympathetic as a victim, because all of a sudden she kind of turned into sympathetic victim of a monster rather than being the cold, callous bitch that we hate her for from issues 1 and 2.
Yeah,
that was
we didn't want her to die.
Yes,
Yeah.
we want her to die, and I didn't feel like I wanted her to die.
Okay.
And we should almost feel like, yes, she's gonna, like she crossed her deity, and now she's gonna die. And I think that'll probably help if you figure out the voice that you want to use for that.
Okay. All right, Danny, go ahead.
It would be nice to see Gretchen in danger.
Okay.
And like doing something here and reacting to her friend / boss turning into a giant monster.
Okay. All right.
As cute as Clucky the Clown is,
Yeah.
he's not a main character yet.
He's not.
The song bit and just the denouement of that whole scene was really slow.
Okay.
The song was cute, and you could keep it as voiceover as they travel.
Okay.
Right, and we can have their dialogue at the same time. You could do that in one page really easily. But like, I mean, I've read medieval literature. Like, something goes from a fight to fuck it, let's drink real fast, surprisingly fast. So like, have the negotiation. Then you don't need to spend like pages being like, fuck it, let's drink. It's like, yeah, okay, here's your mission. You're going with Nestor. I'm drinking now. Right, and you can do that in like 2 less pages than you did. And I think not lose very much.
Okay.
Which which isn't a problem because you did the right thing and wrote all the steps of that conversation to make sure you had them just in case. But yeah, if that is the nature of the conversation, then it's not very much about our protagonists or what they have to do. And so kicking in towards the action in the next adventure faster, because it's that kind of story, isn't the worst idea. Right? And we're already like literally retreading old ground and going to the same forest and the same other dude.
Right.
So given that we're spending more time in places we've already been, let's at least have something interesting happen, which I think you succeeded with the T-Rex, although that seems a bit off for this kind of fantasy world. I mean, it's in the monster manual, so who cares?
It is, yeah.
So yeah, I'm fine with the T-Rex, even though it's a bit extra. But like, yeah, like let's get to the T-Rex faster. Like let's show the audience where we're going to go next with this story and what's new, and like what new crazy adventure is going to happen. And now they've got a different, male character with them, so the dynamics going to be really different. Like that's a major transformation in the formula for this story.
Okay.
And
you were okay with leaving Edmund behind, right? That's fine.
Yeah, no, totally fine with that.
Okay.
Especially after the John Lamont line.
Okay.
So I'm cool with that. And, that lets you do the thing in this project where you interrogate gender roles through the lens of having fewer, like, a small number of male characters who aren't necessarily the most politically important in the area. So doing that with Nestor is a good idea. And he might be a different kind of asshole. He might not be an asshole at all. All of these things are fine, right? So like getting to that was a good play. And getting rid of Edmund was a good play. And yeah, like, I feel like, both of them were still bad-mouthing the queen for a little bit, and like trying to talk over her during that denouement of the fight. And someone should have tried to smack them down, because you need to actually show that this world, or this region of this world, like seriously punishes what, this crime of misogyny. Like go into that.
Okay.
Right? Like, fine, they can fight, but maybe they shouldn't tell the queen what to do. There needs to be an or what, and it was mentioned in issue 1, but it has yet to be shown anywhere. And when Edmund was stepping in issue 1, you wrote in a perfectly fine reason why they shouldn't beat the shit out of him and leave him for dead.
Right.
But now you're in the center of power.
Okay.
So,
all right, fair
fine,
enough.
they're not beating him up, but like, they should smack a bitch.
Okay.
or at least like that might be a way to go to add some life to that dialogue scene as well.
Larry?
How could I possibly add anything to those two commentaries?
Very well.
Yeah.
Because we care. We comment because we care, Larry.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you suggesting that you don't care, Larry?
I'm suggesting that I don't really have any valid criticism right now on the story. So
Fair enough.
Was there a thing that you particularly just didn't like or were confused by? Like, if anything is going to help him.
I was a little confused by the whole thing just because I'm a little behind on it. So
I mean, that's actually not a bad point.
Yeah.
Maybe like, haha, I have taken over this body with the magical power of the evil demon Ereshkigal to do this thing. Gets people back into the narrative without having to reread issue 2.
yeah, I suppose.
Well, it also doesn't help that the last 3 Kickstarters Preston has done has been for the same freaking book.
Okay.
All right. So, Erwin, tell us about Prison Bitch. As soon as you can take your mute off over there. AKA Cop Killer.
I think he put himself on mute, thinking he was taking himself off mute.
Yeah, now I just put myself off mute, thinking that it was on mute. This I think is going to be a set of stories set in an imaginary sort of Texas city, kind of analogous to Austin, but certainly a lot more dystopian. And it's sort of playing off of the current actual dystopia that we're kind of going through in America. I'm thinking it's going to be something like the first cycle will be a set of largely first person narratives, from those respective characters told in a sort of a Rashomon style. I'm talking about where each character has their own perspective for the story, and then the other characters' stories overlap. The first character and the second, so on and so forth. Each character has their own story told from their own perspective, overlapping each other's stories, and you learn like different things about the story that you didn't know from the previous perspectives and so forth. So the first character is Prison Bitch.
Okay.
And I guess that's all you'll need to know.
I've been to. It's not too bad. I sold a homeless guy a comic once. That was interesting.
Yeah. The homeless people down here used to be much more coherent. Yeah. Anyways,
they become less coherent with the influx of.
With the influx, what?
There's been an increase in the number of homeless people in Texas here in the last 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely.
Since COVID and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right. So, who do you want to narrate?
Who wants to narrate? Anyone? Who's really up to it right now?
I can do it.
Okay. All right. Preston's narrating, and I'll be Prison Bitch.
Okay.
To spare anyone who might feel that they don't want to do that.
Right.
We need a junkie. So how about John Lamont, a squatter? How about Danny Horney, white woman? We'll give that to Larry Holder. And
you can't use our first names. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm just reading the names here. I'm sorry. And Redneck wants to be Redneck. Has a few extra lines. John, why don't you be Redneck?
All right.
And Black Man, Larry, you do the opposites here. You be white woman and black man.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Prison bitch's bedroom night. Panel 1 large.
Wouldn't that be a
all right,
jail
hold on.
cell?
Okay, so all right, hold on. I noticed we're going to comic format.
Yeah, I'm trying to put it into a comic book format here. This
Okay.
is a different. I'm sure you know this is a different story from the previous one that I brought up. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So this would be page 1, panel 1, right? Page 1. Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
So the bedroom is cramped with a vanity and lots of makeup, wigs, and mannequins, Chinese clothes, and posters of transvestite Chinese opera performers. Silhouette of slender Paula sitting before the vanity. Panel 2. Paula, 29, black, male to female, transgender of slender, almost anorexic build, looks in the mirror at her own face. The words prison bitch tattooed to her forehead. Her skin is honey complected.
I know it's a bit on the nose, isn't it?
Page 2, panel 1. Paula washes her face with an astringent pad.
I didn't choose it. I didn't ask for it.
Panel 2. Paula covers her face with a base makeup of a very white shade. It covers up the prison bitch tattoo.
I didn't apply for that job. I was assigned.
Page 3. Paula covers her neck with a very white cover-up.
I was raised right to know the difference between a sheep and a goat.
Panel 4. Paula paints bright Chinese opera black lines around the eyes and on the eyebrows.
Jesus was not bullshitting when he told us about separating the sheep and the goats.
Panel 5. Paula paints bright red on her cheeks and lips and eyeshadow.
As you know, the goats go to hell, even if they believe that they believe in Jesus.
Page,
All right.
yeah,
That's a moral.
there you go. Page 3, panel 1. Paula puts on an ornate Chinese operatic headdress that includes long, straight black hair in a bun. Her face is complete now.
In the end, it's not about what you believe that you believe or even what you actually believe. It's about what you do when you really want to get your baby's mother off your ass.
Panel 2. Paula reaches behind herself to tie the strings of a tight corset.
Lord, that sounds so stupid.
Panel 4, or page 4. Splash. Paula walks through the streets of a black neighborhood. She wears a sexy
Cheapow.
all right, with the slits up the sides of her thighs. It is a mismatch of styles, the combination of Chinese opera face and hair with modernized cheapow with long slits and no sleeves. A street sign reads, "Welcome to the Black Lands."
Get the fuck out of my way, my people.
Page 5, panel 1. An old black lady clutches her purse as she walks by Paula.
I got a bad rep amongst the old ladies in the hood.
Panel 2. Paula watches the old lady walk away. Panel 3. Close-up of many rolls of fat on the belly of an obese woman.
It's sad because they remind me of Mama.
Panel 4. A junkie grabs the sleeve of a woman.
So who was Junkie? Because it was like a forever ago when you assigned the roles.
It was you, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I just need $20. Look at you. You're doing all right. I've had a hard life. You just don't know.
Panel 5. Paula reaches between his legs.
Her, yeah, his,
Yeah.
or whatever.
I'm just reading what you wrote.
Yeah.
Misgendering your own characters.
I'm just reading what you wrote.
For shame.
I had to go back and change all the his's to hers, and now,
Now it's rough.
Yeah.
Paula reaches between his legs, his keypow hiked up to the waist. Page 6, panel 1. Paula points a pistol at the junkie. Wow, all right.
Okay. Prison bitch?
You remind me, cousin of mine, of times best forgotten.
So Paula is now Paul?
No, that's just a mistake.
All
Like
right,
I said, I
Everyone's just
didn't
dedicating
completely
his own character.
fix the
all
script.
right, all right. Because I don't want you to dead name your character. Panel 2. The junkie backs away. Paula has lowered her gun.
Thanks. If you want to rob someone, don't do it in front of me.
Like the character in his script, his character is transitioning
There we go.
halfway through the script.
Panel 3. Paula walks down a dilapidated building. Squatters hanging their dogs' skulls out of the window.
Squatters eat our dogs, living off the grid. Even the black billionaires don't invest in the black lands.
Panel 4. Squatter lifts Paula's arm up and licks her armpit.
They sweep all the homeless and sex offenders into the black lands.
Panel 5. Paula points her gun at the squatter.
Come on, PV. Hey, you want to get lit?
I got work to do. I got a job. You should get one too.
Page 7, panel 1. Squatter gets enraged, arms cocked behind and fists balled.
Did you tell me to get a job?
Trigger warning.
Panel 2. The squatter lunges at Paula. Panel 3. A bullet blasts through squatter's... Okay, all right. That escalated quickly. The squatter's chest. Panel 4. Paula stands over his expiring form.
I said trigger warning, putita. The pigs will pick up his body later, check the tape, and see it's self-defense. I'm good.
Exterior trailer, town streets, night. Page 8. Every edifice is a trailer. Some buildings consist of multiple trailer homes stacked on top of each other, mostly white people. Paula stands out as she walks through the dusty road.
Trailer town, where the trash rule.
Page 9, panel 1. A black man walks past tipping his cowboy hat.
Howdy.
Black men like to play cowboy too.
Panel 2. White woman walks by.
Freak.
Panel 3. White car mechanic in his work clothes walks by eyeing Paula.
The women call me a freak and want me out. The men don't call me a freak because they're too busy checking to see if they're erect.
All right. Panel 4. Redneck. A tall and fat white man with pustules on his face and a body and sweating profusely approaches.
How are you doing tonight? Are you packing?
Yes, I am, of course. Redneck is the mayor of Trailer Town.
Panel 5. Redneck puts his hands on Paul's shoulders.
You know, if you draw your weapon in Trailer Town, you'll likely expire rather profusely.
Thanks for the heads up, Mr. Redneck Mayor. I will be careful. He belies no attraction to me whatsoever, trying to intimidate me. So that's the end of the 9 pages.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you presented a world. It's got some interesting characters in it, a fair amount of violence. It's a street level view of life amongst some rather desperate characters. As in terms of your first comic script, I think you did pretty well in terms of communicating pages and panels and whatnot. I think that more of that will come with experience, and it certainly gave me an interesting mix of different cultures. John.
Yeah, very good world building. Like I can really see what this shithole these people live in. Like, yes. I mean, it is, and that's clearly what you're going for. So that's definitely, that's a compliment.
You clearly express that life is cheap.
Yes. And so you did a really good job of that. The world building is is pretty solid. And in 10 pages or 9 pages, yeah, we know exactly what the world building is. And I would say the way you did it was pretty strong as well, like through a character narrating her thoughts. Was a good way to do it. I think it lends itself to a comic well, where if you were in a screenplay and a film, that kind of opening, you know, the voiceover dialogue rarely ever works. I mean, just watch a Zack Snyder movie. You'll see where sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it I would say rarely doesn't work unless you really, really know what you're doing. But in a comic, you can get away with that because, you know, it's a lot easier to do. And a comic people are expecting to read, so it's words on a page. So I think it works for this, and I think it's a really, really good opening. To, I mean, I don't know where you're going with it just yet, but it definitely has an opening that I think is very interesting, and yeah.
Cool.
Danny.
Paula seems like an interesting character. There's a little bit of a sheriff / superhero vibe going on there, so that's fun. And yeah, there was a lot of micro worlds being built rather efficiently, so that's always nice to see.
And Larry.
Yeah, the atmosphere is really good. You definitely get a good picture of the world you're trying to build. I think with the right artist, it could be a really spectacular book. So,
yeah, the artist test. I think it really has to be a particular artist. Yeah,
it's got to go for sort of a sketchy, sort of grimy look. I think would really, really will work well with it. So,
yeah. A lot of these horror artists that I've never heard of before are like incredible for this sort of thing.
All right. Anyone got any constructed notes?
Yes.
All right, Danny, go ahead.
There isn't a story. Paula just walks through some things and narrates what these places are. There is no goal or anything like that. It's just a very visually interesting character walking through a landscape that you're establishing. But what does this person want? What do they do? How do people react to her? Is she a superhero?
I want to say, like,
why isn't she driving?
I mean, to me, I'm reading this as like the story is about being gay / transgender. Like it seems like we're on a journey.
Sure,
of sexuality.
Like, is she walking to work? Is she going to the store to get like a bag of milk? Like, what is her goal? Like, you can do this with the goal of I just need to get a pack of cigarettes, and it's great. But I mean, why is a person doing this and choosing to murder people, or I guess kill people in self-defense and all this stuff? What's worth all of this danger is not established at all.
And what's with the makeup
it will be,
and the clothes, and you know, because performers typically, when they do their makeup and wardrobe, they're doing it backstage. They don't do their makeup and wardrobe at home and then walk 15 blocks to the theater where they're performing. So that was a little confusing, because here she's putting on makeup and wardrobe, and I expected her to walk out on a stage and start doing something. And she didn't. She went for a walk, which was a little weird. I don't know where the gun came from. That confused me. All of a sudden she had a gun.
Well, there's that panel where she's reaching up between her legs.
Yeah.
I thought she was scratching her balls. And then it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go scratch my balls and then take my pistol out, and I'm
Joke's
like,
on you. She's packing heat.
that my first thought was like, okay, is you talking about her dick? I mean, what's she packing? So yeah, I was a little confused. And
Yeah.
did the guy that she shot not expect, like, he brought fists to a gunfight? Like, that was weird. Like, if you live in this world where anybody can basically draw a gun and shoot you and then claim self-defense and walk away like nothing ever happened, I kind of feel like if he's not equally armed, he would just back off.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But I've been reading so many stories around our nation right now that in which the people know and they still go and then they end up dead. This happened in Houston a couple days ago. Boyfriend tries to tear his girlfriend's door down. As soon as the door is torn down, he's dead, like the instant. So yeah, it's happening all over. But
Well, I would say that's a specific case where he probably didn't think she would do it, or didn't know that she had the gun. Like, we're talking about, as far as I know, these two characters are complete strangers, and you don't walk up to a stranger and pick a fight, and then that stranger draws a gun, and don't know that person. You don't know if that person has shot 1,000 people or if that's the first time they're drawing their gun. There's a lot of times in domestic abuse situations where someone will draw a gun and then not use it, and the man overpowers them, takes it away from them, or whatever. But that's different because you have a personal, emotional relationship with that person. So I think I would say that situation would not apply here, because I feel like these two people don't know each other.
Yeah, I think you're right when you're talking about normal people, but I don't know if you've been out on these streets recently, but there's a lot of crazy motherfuckers out here who do not make any sense. 0 sense whatsoever.
Okay, so yes, truth is stranger than fiction, but if your fiction is not believable, nobody's going to believe it, even if it's based on the truth. So just keep that in mind.
I hear you. I just disagree with you. So
okay, you're allowed.
I do. I'm glad that you did pay attention to the him or her dress, because the character started out as a transvestite and he was named Paul, but then I changed it like mid revision or whatever. Anyway, so I'm glad that you noticed that he was getting dressed, like really taking a lot of time to do that, and that because that is important. I think that does lend an air of something is going on. It's not just a regular stroll through the park, so to speak. Why is this person dressed up like this? I think that might lend a little bit of direction to what Danny was referring to as sort of the lack of direction for the first 9 pages.
I mean, it's possible. As I said, like I envisioned her in a dressing room getting dressed to go out and perform on stage. Now, if she's going to a club, like a nightclub, yeah, she'll get dressed up and then walk to a nightclub. But I didn't get the sense that she was going to a nightclub. I just got the sense, like a drag club. Like if she's going to a drag club, yeah, they're going to get dressed up at home, and then they go to the club and they're already in their makeup and outfit. So, and if that's what you're doing, that's fine. Then give us the goal. Let us know where she's going when she leaves. If she's going to a club, if she's going to meet a date, imply that to us early on so we know what the end goal, and that's kind of what Danny was saying, like, where is she going? Because right now she's just getting dressed up and has nowhere to go, so she's going for a walk during down the shitty side of the street.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Are y'all interested in? I mean, would y'all be interested in seeing what happens in the next 9-10 pages? I mean,
I mean, look, I run a writer's stream, so
that's your job, man.
yeah, I run a
Yeah,
writer's stream.
that Danny's
yeah.
correct.
Yeah, whatever you bring, we will go through. I mean, as a reader, this is not like a kind of story I would go for.
right.
But we've had plenty of those on this stream.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm asking you personally, like as
Right.
individuals, not as a sort of royal we or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, me, no.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not really my cup of tea either, but
Right.
you know, like I'll it's interesting nonetheless.
I mean,
I'm cool with
Yeah.
Mad Max on foot, but again, like until there's a story to like really get me to care, I'm
right.
I'm not going to remember Blacktown or whatever.
Right. Yeah, because so far it's going in a direction that is not me. Like it's going in a direction where it's a discussion of race, but I mean I'm not of that race. It's a discussion of sexual orientation, but that's not the way I'm wired. So okay, cool story, but I mean like it's not a story that's of the interest that I'm typically going along. And it's coming back to Danny's point. It would be one thing if it's a gay character or whatever in a plot about, and okay, well the plot interests me, but here we don't yet have that conflict that's really compelling us to want to turn the page and see, oh no, does the bad guy do the thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I definitely was not interested in it being a story of race or sexual orientation in the traditional sense. Obviously, those things play a role because that's what this person is, and the situation in which these neighborhoods
having Blacktown and Redneck Mayor kind of puts it in a perspective of race.
Right.
Yeah, you're in stereotype land, brother.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
So you're clearly writing a story about race and whatever your opinion is of it in your area, and that's cool. But like, again, I don't like. What's the protagonist's goal? Like, is this a post-apocalypse? Is it going to rain tomorrow, and it only happens on the north side of the city? So she just wants to go and feel rain on her face after having been prison bitch. That's a fucking story. Right, and it's this odyssey to get there.
What is up with the name Prison Bitch? Like
that's
I want to know. Like,
yes.
Right.
And
I'm not telling in the first 9 pages.
Well,
right?
I mean, he's saying that there's going to be like a Rashomon reveal about this person later.
Yeah, I've seen Rashomon. It's a detective story about a crime.
It does tend to be
crime. What are we trying? Oh, it's not. I walk through Blacktown. It's full of black people who have black problems. It's did you see what happened with the princess and the farmer outside the Rashomon gate?
Right.
Right, and there was a rape and possibly a murder, and there's a police officer trying to figure out what the fuck happened. There's still a story.
There will be a crime. It's not in the first 9 pages. There will be a big event. It's just not in the first 9 pages.
So, Erwin, the only thing I would add to that is you can have the most best story, plot, hook, whatever, but if you bore your audience to the point where they don't get to it, it doesn't matter. And I'm not saying this was. I mean, you had a very interesting world, but I'm just saying is don't rely too heavily on this amazing hook that's going to happen on page 15 because your readers might not get to page 15. Or if there's supposed to be some major cliffhanger at the end of issue 1 on page 24, well, your readers might not get to page 24, so you want to give them something good while you have their attention and before you lose their attention. So just don't get hung up on, well, I've got this amazing plot concept, you just have to wait for it, because we as writer, as part of the writer stream, we'll suffer, and God knows plenty everybody here has suffered through my stuff. But it's just keep in mind that you don't want to lose your audience before you've got them. And you've got some interesting stuff going here, but we need a little bit more to get us to turn to page 10. Again, assuming I'm answering this question as you presented it, was as a potential customer. As a potential customer, I don't know why I'd want to turn the page to page 10 right now. You have an interesting world, that's all fine and good, but as I said, you mentioned that as a potential customer. If I just paid money for this book, I think I'd be a little disappointed. Now, if this was a web comic, I probably would keep reading. But again, I don't know what it is that you want to do with this.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it will become much more plot driven in the further pages. But yes, I understand your concerns. Yeah, I'm asking a little bit of the reader. There aren't that many panels in the first 9 pages.
Huh.
There's not a whole lot of reading to do.
Well, what I love,
you're going to get through them.
Right. I mean, look, John and I came out of, Venice Beach writer streams in California and, Los Angeles, where screenwriters would sit around and, talk about stories in screenplay form and go out to bars. And we'd have these big discussions about the way we structure a story and risks and payoffs and all these things. But the thing is that none of us were ever making movies. We were just writing scripts essentially for the select audience of the other people at the writers group. And we hope that they kind of like them. What is different now is we're putting out comic books, and and the numbers kind of speak for themselves. And you go, oh wow, people liked it when they did the thing, and didn't like it when I did the other thing. So, if you go on this journey as well, then you will start getting a sense of, oh, people bought the book when I would talk about this, and they didn't buy the book when I talked about that. So you will get to test your own hypotheses, and there's nothing like having a financial incentive to really get you good at finding out what people like. So, these things will come with time and experience. But starting off, you're starting in what I would consider very much a story about race and sexual identity. And if it's really like a Rashomon murder thing, then you need to put that more front and center.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with doing a story about race and sexual identity, because
that's huge.
They do.
People spend money on that stuff.
Yeah.
And the Kickstarter algorithm really likes that kind of stuff too.
It does. Yeah.
There's an entire industry of queer Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, I know. I watch the videos about the DC. I don't read the DC universe anymore, but
we're not talking about DC. We're talking about
we're
Kickstarter.
Talking about indies. Indies.
Indie comics.
There is a huge market for queer stuff and black stuff that for black artists and comic book creators. It's big. Now, of course, I don't know if
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and throw a stone here, and feel free to say it's sour grapes or whatever. But I feel like the engine for getting a big identitarian title on Kickstarter usually is you get a bunch of influencers together who represent your demographic and are speaking to that demographic on social media, and each one contributes a 3 or 4 page story into an anthology about being X, and then you rake in $50,000.
Broadly speaking, the anthology scene is huge for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's just because there's more people to do the marketing.
Right.
Yeah, there was actually a few people. There's a few people that I actually follow who actually do that kind of stuff. They just put out a 100-page comic anthology of like a dozen different. Moby would have liked it. 8 to 12 page comic shorts that was all about different political hot topics, and the anthology was around a theme. I think the last one they did was like on women's rights and stuff and feminism. And
by the way, if you find these, Erwin, these often have calls for submissions, and you can just write an 8-pager to be in one of these. Also, a good way to get published.
Those people would probably crucify me.
Yeah, there's that.
Well, see, that's the other thing too. Right. Well, again, here's the other issue that you're going to run into, which is why I don't typically do that, is because I'm a cis white male.
Right.
A lot of times, if you're going to write for that identity group, they want
you to be that identity group.
Yes,
exactly,
they want you to be part of that identity group.
I'm not saying that's why they would crucify me. It's because
no. I'm just saying that a lot of times, what we're talking about is if you're going to write to this identity group, the people that support it want you to be a member of it, and that's how they connect with you. And they want you to they want you to write stories.
Experience, yeah.
Yes, which is again why I don't do that. I just I write the stuff that I like, and it seems to work out pretty well for me. And I don't try to write to identity groups that I don't have.
John is speaking to the identity group of people who like boobs.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's a fairly big identity group.
It is. It's
right. What I'm trying to tell you is that I think the identitarians, as some people I think sort of negatively call them, will not like this story very much.
I mean, well, in which case you've ended up with something that appeals to no one, and that's not a good place to be.
Right.
Yep. And that's the story that I want to tell. Right.
All right. The good news is
because I'm so sick of people writing, stuff that
I mean, look, Erwin,
that 1,000 other people have written.
My first story, I was putting out because it was something I wanted to do, and that's fine. And the great thing about comics is it's more affordable than film. So if you just want to put out a story because you just want to put out a story, well then put out a damn story. And no one.
Well, obviously, I'm not writing just to put out a story. For God's sake,
well, now
we would spend that much time and energy just to say you did that. You have a piece of paper with pictures and words on it.
Now you get into philosophical discussions about the nature of art and the purpose of art. But if you're doing this to make money, then you need to start going, okay, who am I marketing to, and what do they want?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm really that interested in money that much, as insofar as just having some readers read the stuff and either hate it,
baby. Webcomics, cheap to produce. You can put them out. You can find yourself a decent artist. If you can't draw it yourself, you can probably find yourself a decent artist for about $50 a page, and just produce a webcomic and put it out there.
Yeah, then compile it later when it's done.
Yeah.
There you go.
And there's even some different ones where you can actually just run Google ads on the bottom of the page. So every time they click on a different page, you get ad revenue.
It's probably good to click on more pages, which is still your problem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, I would still love to go print.
Huge market there for paranormal romance, if that's what you feel like writing.
What romance?
Paranormal romance. Are you shitting me? The market's huge.
Oh, okay. Paranormal romance.
I'm in love with the vampire. I'm in love with Cthulhu. That kind of thing.
Well, yeah. I'm really not into genres. So
male to female, transgender vampire who every time they have bottom surgery, it just grows back, and they're just like, oh my god.
Yeah. I had a friend doing Captain America, gay, whatever comics 10 years ago, and it was boring then. So,
something was not boring to you.
10 years ago, they really weren't writing really good they weren't really writing good queer stories 10 years ago. They were still a little too on the cliche of these hyperly effeminate men. And what was that TV show? Will and Grace. It was very much like that. It's really only been within I want to say post 2010, where where those kind of stories have really started to be good.
Step out of the stereotype is what I would say.
Right. Because again, it's you can write a story about a gay character that only people in the gay community can relate to, but it's not going to go very far because it's a very small community. If you want to grow your reach, you want to have a story that relates to people outside of that community as well.
Yeah.
And then it's just writing a good love story, write a good romance, and most people aren't going to care what
I might should start this series off with the story of the cop who kills prison bitch, rather than prison bitch herself.
I mean, you started off saying it's a Rashomon story, and going back to Rashomon, or for that matter, Basic with John Travolta and Samuel Jackson, which is not a particularly good movie, but it is a Rashomon movie. I mean, both of those start with a crime investigator who is, I haven't seen Rashomon, but is interrogating people. And when we do the interrogation, now we get the cutscene, and now we get their version of, what happened. And then, okay, now the investigator's, now I got to go here. But then he'll eventually find this person who tells him, oh, no. And now when we get a new version of events, that kind of fills in some mysteries and some holes in the first one, and we get a new understanding and kind of stuff. But we have...
And, there's so many variations on that. You can do, The Usual Suspects is a Rashomon story with only one suspect.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good point,
It's still, you can... play with it, but there's still a crime, and there's still a character with a goal at the beginning,
right?
Trying to figure out what happened, and it's not even who did it; it's just what happened,
right? So I would say, before you start reinventing the genre, start off kind of embracing the genre, and go, okay, if I'm doing a Rashomon story, give me a crime, give me an investigator, and let's start there.
Yeah, I'm doing this really offbeat superhero project, which will finally be on Kickstarter hopefully next month. But when it gets down to it, there's still a big fat superhero fight at the end, right? If you're going to do superhero stuff, you have to do expected superhero stuff, even if you're playing with the genre throughout, right? It's a really important part of the genre is that if you're only satirizing it, you still need to use its own tools. If you're doing a romance, it's a story about love, even if you're satirizing romance stories, right? If you're doing whatever noir / crime story you're doing, what you wrote was basically the intro to a noir, because there was nothing happening quite yet. There still will eventually be an investigation, and if there isn't, and it's not Mad Max, I would be really disappointed as a reader. Right? So even if you're criticizing something, you have to still play with the tools that it uses best. Right? If you're fighting against something, fight against its powerful arguments, not its weakest ones.
Okay.
By the way, John, Spirit of the Dragon now over $7,000, so congratulations.
Jesus.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
are most of those people that you have some connection to, or are they strangers, or how? That comes out to what?
They are aficionados of boobies.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of those, so I'm guessing you're saying that they're strangers.
Yes, they're strangers mostly. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
So, John, how's your repeat business on number 3?
Oh, my repeat business is very good. I recognize a lot of my names.
Good. Glad to hear.
So, that's
a good sign.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
if you serve your customers well, they'll come back, and that matters.
Yeah, yeah. I did unfortunately lose a big customer from Angel of Darkness.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. He left you a catty comment.
No, not that guy.
Oh, not that guy. Okay.
No, he was $30. I'm like,
okay.
his catty comment. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
I've only been advertising that it's going to be running for the last month.
Yeah.
No. I had a guy who in Angel of Darkness had 6 of my Garvey books.
Oh wow.
and emailed me out of the blue, like literally as I was packing them and getting ready. No, I sent out the shipping notices.
Yeah.
So he got his shipping details. I printed all the labels,
Yeah.
and he just sent me a really bizarre message that basically was like, he's not doing the comics thing anymore. And the weird message was, he's like, I want them out of my life.
Wow.
And I'm like,
okay.
Ooh,
I was
maybe
just
his
like
angry wife.
that was my thought. Yeah,
could be,
it sounded very, very like he's having problems with the wife, and she probably doesn't want any more Garvey books in their house.
Probably not.
So
That
I
happens.
did. I sadly I did lose him. I refunded him from the Kickstarter, and a week later I had a $700 eBay order from somebody who bought 12. Like, you remember that link you posted?
Yeah.
There, all 7 of those was like one guy.
Yeah.
So
What do you mean? What 7 things did this person buy on eBay from you?
Oh yeah, show the link.
Hold on. Let me pull it up. Let's see. Let me share this. All right, shop. By the way, you can follow.
And I don't know if this guy backed my Kickstarter. I should probably go and check to see if he backed my Kickstarter.
Right, so
add him to your mailing list, anyways.
Yeah. Well,
I don't add
in eBay. They don't give you the email.
No, and I wouldn't even add anybody that without their permission. But what I do is I printed out some postcards, and it has all of my links on the back. And basically, I put one of these postcards in every single package.
Nice.
And
So here we go. So this is an eBay listing for Angel of Darkness #2, regular and not safe for work combo covers for $75. 7 sold. So,
yep, that was one guy.
Not bad.
Yep. So that's That's 2 books.
Yeah.
For $75.
Why? I'm not sure I understand. I've never read any of your books, but I don't want to.
I'm gonna go ahead and probably guess that the guy who bought 7 also probably never read any of his books either.
Probably not.
And the sad thing is, after receiving 14 comics from John, he probably still hasn't read any of John's books.
I don't care as long as the check clears.
Exactly.
Are you saying that he's just looking at the pictures, or
yes,
he's just?
Yes, I'm saying he's just looking at the pictures.
Most likely, what I think some of these guys do is that they probably go to cons. They'll probably stand in line for Garvey's signature, get him to sign the books, get them graded, and then resell them.
Yes, exactly. And they're also looking at the marketability of the artist.
Yeah.
Oh, so this guy Garvey.
Yes.
Like, I'm out of it. He's popular.
Yes.
Huh. I hadn't heard of him.
And he's not only popular, he's amazingly affordable.
He is.
Yeah. Wow.
My ROI on Garvey is the best I've seen.
Amazing. Yeah, it's insane. So
it's why I keep hiring him, because I'm like, as long as he keeps saying,
giving him a ride.
Yeah.
As long.
Anyway.
So.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Anyway.
Good work. Yeah.
All right. Well, next week I will have some more Palace pages, and hopefully
I'll have some Angel of Darkness 4. I gotta start polishing that script.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well,
stop working on movies and write more things to bring over.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see everybody next week.
All right.
Okay. Thank you all. See you later.
Everybody.